Hey, hi, hello, how are you? I'm Pia, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read during the month of July. So this month I managed to read about 12 books, I think, and I had a lot of really great ones. Summerween happened. As always, I'm going to be going in the order in which I read these books, and if you want to hear any more thoughts or thoughts I had while reading, then make sure to check out my weekly reading blog. First up, I read Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This is, I was going to say my second Alice Oseman book, but I don't think that's true. This copy I was actually gifted by a subscriber, which is so lovely, so thank you so much. I don't know why it took me so long to read this book, but I absolutely adored it. Like, I even liked it more than I liked Loveless, which I read last month, and it is just so fantastic. We have a main character who, from the outside looking in, has everything put together. She's like top of her class, she's like all of these things, but she really doesn't have anything going on under the surface. She doesn't have any close friends, she doesn't have really hobbies or anything that she's really into, except that she loves drawing for this, well, not for, but in things that are inspired by this podcast called Radio Silence. And so she gets recruited by Radio Silence to draw for the podcast, and later finds out that she actually knows the person who runs this anonymous podcast, and they become friends and they work on the podcast together because it's this big secret. It obviously won't stay a secret for very long. There's also a male-male romance going on. We have a demisexual main character, which I adore. We have some anxiety rep and things like that. I think this is such a beautiful story of friendship, and I'm gonna talk about with a lot of these books, friendship and like just like that strong kind of relationship, any sort of like strong relationship at the forefront of any story is really always going to be what I notice first, always what I'm looking for, because as much as I love stories about, you know, any old thing, I really always looking for a good friendship to read about, and this was fantastic. It obviously filled that bill. Just so incredible. If you are able to listen to audiobooks, I do recommend this one because it does have that podcast element, but of course I'm sure you could read it however you would like. Then I read Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This is a graphic novel, as you can tell. I read this for Summerween. Look how cute it is. This is about two best friends on their last year working at this pumpkin patch. It's like fall festival thing, and our male main character Josie is finally getting the guts to ask out this girl that he always sees there every year, and his best friend Deja is helping him. So they go through basically the whole festival, recounting their times, all of these falls spent together. It's great. Again, another great friendship. I really liked the two characters. Our main character Deja is bi as well, which I think is great because who doesn't need more queer people. The only thing I didn't like about this was the romance aspect, which didn't hit until a little bit later, quite late in the book. As a huge romance reader that I am, I'm a little bit nitpicky about romance, and so I just felt like this one was unnecessary and it could have stayed a friendship. So for that reason, I gave it 3 stars. I think I would read it like closer to autumn. Then I read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is getting turned into a movie, which has me so excited because I looked at the cast list and oh my gosh. This is a 80s horror flick as a book. I would pitch it to you as Firefly Lane meets The Exorcist. So we have two best friends. After a experience in the woods, one of them starts acting quite differently. You know, well, she's possessed then. It's filled with like 80s isms, and like it's so fun to read about, but also just so like weird and disturbing, especially the things that the best friend does, Gretchen, while she's, you know, possessed. Disturbing to say the least. There are a bunch of trigger warnings in this, so I would recommend looking those up before picking up this book. I'm understanding that's how horror goes, but like besides the obvious like creepy crawly sorts of things, blood, gore, bugs, that sort of stuff, there's like obviously some like deeper things going on that are not fun to read about. This was an incredible book. I think I love horror, like I really do. Like I love a good spooky moment, but I never feel very satisfied from reading horror or from watching horror, and I just think that this one had something so different. Using my comparison to Firefly Lane, which is a story about friendship over a bunch of years, I just felt like I really not connected with this friendship, but I was really immersed in this friendship and really invested in the characters. You know, I wanted Gretchen to get better. I wanted her best friend Abby to like find out what was happening, and I cared about them a lot, and I think that's what made this stand out from the rest. And I would definitely read more from this author. I know they have a bunch of horror books that a lot of people enjoy. I really recommend this book. Obviously look up the trigger warnings first, but I think that if you're looking for a fun horror, this one's really great. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This is basically about a coven disguised as a sorority. So we follow two perspectives here. One, our main character, ooh, testing me on names and reading. Vivi is new to campus. She's a freshman and she doesn't really know anything about college, let alone witchcraft. So she's like, whoa, I'm a witch? We're doing witchy things? Like, what is going on? And then we have our, I believe she's a junior. She's an established witch. Definitely, I don't know, like, if there are any ranks and sororities, I'm obviously not in one, but she's like higher up, but not the leader. Some bad things have happened in the past, and one of the girls in the coven last year died. So there's a whole big mystery surrounding that. What's happening now is that they're being threatened because of this. So they all have to work together. I really love like the aspect of like sisterhood, which is like why covens are so cool. The only thing I didn't really enjoy about this book was the romances, just because it was unnecessary. Like, say it with me, y'all. It's the demisexual in me. It really is. Like, drama surrounding a certain relationship, and I felt like it was really just like very high school, not even high school, but like very childish, and I think this does read a little bit younger. It definitely reads more YA. This is technically new adult if we really want to classify it. Being that I am new adult, I don't believe this is such. But I did give this 3 out of 5 stars. I will continue with the series. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think these are just fun books, and if you're looking for a book that's a lot like season 3 of American Horror Story, but not as good, because season 3 of American Horror Story is so good. Coven, that's the word. Then I read Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This is a debut book, and this is basically adult sapphic radio silence. So if you liked radio silence, you would like this. Maybe I'll do one of those videos and I'll mention that. But like I said, it's adult, it's sapphic. We've got a very put together main character. She just finished her doctorate in astronomy. I didn't want to say astrology. She's very independent, but she has all of these societal pressures put on her as a woman who's black and gay, and just like basically just is feeling like every pressure is put on her in general. She has this fun crazy night at Las Vegas, and well, she winds up married. She is married to this lovely girl, and they don't know each other, and they kind of try to make, like, over the course of the book, just try to make their marriage work. They're like, well, maybe, like, we'll stay married. I like you. Like, you're pretty cool. And, like, it's very poetic. Like, the way they talk about each other is so chef's kiss. It's fantastic. One reason why I say that this is, like, adult sapphic radio silence is because there is a podcast element. Our love interest, Yuki, has a podcast that's not exactly similar to radio silence, but has a similar vibe and tone, kind of purpose as well in her life. I would say this is mostly a story of coming of age, and I like to use that term even when it's not like YA. This is an adult novel, because I feel like at any point in your life you're coming of age, and I especially love stories about that, just about people like finding their place in the world, obviously coming to realizations about themselves or society or how they fit into society. This does such a great job. Don't go into this expecting a romance. Obviously it does have this absolutely like gorgeous relationship, but it is not a romance book. It's a book about self-discovery and independence. It's so great. I also really loved the side characters in this book, which I feel like side characters don't always stand out, but to me they really did in this one. Like, I would be so down for like companion novels following the other characters. Like, I would love to know what's going on because they were so intricately done, and it made me interested about them as well, which I think was just fantastic. Like, I cannot say enough good things about this book. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert. This is the second book in the Wicked Villain series. I have not read the first book. That's Desperate Measures. It's a Jafar and Jasmine retelling. And so, as the title would suggest, this is a series all about Disney heroes getting with Disney villains, essentially. This is smut. Like, don't call it romance. I mean, like, this one was kind of cute. This is about Hercules, Meg, and Hades in a kind of polygamous relationship. It's low-key cute, but it's like smut. Like, do not, like, first and foremost, is smut. But I just kind of find the series really interesting. I think it's such an interesting take on like fairy tales. It's very interesting, and it's in the real world, which I think is interesting, but there's also like obviously these magical elements, because I don't know, it was good. It's definitely something. Then I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I mean, everyone knows about this book. It's about a man who is this magical caseworker, and he goes to this house in the Cerulean Sea and is basically determining whether these children are in a fit home for them and they're safe and protected. But this home is a little bit different. We have kind of the outcasts of the magical world, if you will. A female gnome, I wish I knew their names. We have like a boy who's like this creature that they don't really know what he is. Then we have, you know, the Antichrist. And they're all exiled from society and ostracized, and their only safe space is this place where they live. And it's a lot about identity, acceptance, and discrimination and prejudice, obviously, because you really can't get to acceptance and equality without jumping those hurdles. So I thought this was such a beautiful story, and it was fun and it was whimsical. It's probably the most like whimsical adult novel I've ever read. It also has a male-male romance. In a weird way, it's kind of reminding me of Luca, if you guys have seen the new Pixar movie, which I mean is fabulous. In a weird way, it's kind of reminding me of that in the lushness of the landscape and how bright and colorful it reads, if that makes any sense. And I think what really is great about this book is the character development in our main character, Linus, and just his entire character story through the entire book. And that's really fun to read about. I really enjoyed this. I would read more from this author. Yeah, it was great. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think this is the last picture I have to pull up, so I'm sorry. And I read Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is about a magical library that is basically between death and living, and it houses all of the books of the different possibilities your life could have taken, all the different ways your life could have gone, all the what ifs, all of the regrets, all of basically a bunch of different dimensions, I guess. Our main character Nora, who has just tried to kill herself. So obviously this does deal with suicide and themes of depression and suicidal thoughts. And she gets to the Midnight Library and starts opening up books of what her life could have been like, and it's this whole journey of, I was gonna say of life, but of like finding meaning in life and wanting to truly live, because I mean the point of the Midnight Library is, you know, come out of it and have a appreciation for the life that you're living and kind of an understanding of no matter how many like regrets you have, like your place is here, your place is. I think it's just such a beautiful book. I'm probably not explaining it very well, but I think the fact that it is dealing with such a heavy subject matter, it deals with it beautifully, and especially in this fantastical way, is really, really enjoyable to read about. And I absolutely love this book. It was such a shocker to me. I picked it up on a whim. I think I had like 4 hours left until my loan expired for the library, and I just read it, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It was really good. I lied. I have more photos to pull up. I'm sorry. I read a lot of audiobooks. Then I read Summer in July. This is a middle grade about a character named Summer and a character named July. Basically, after July's father has left and run off with a new bride, her and her mother decided to go to this town in California for the summer, and July has kind of like receded into herself. She has grown all these fears and made all this armor for herself, but she meets Summer, who is the literal embodiment of her name, you know, bright and fun and bubbly, and she kind of takes July under her wing. I don't know how long I haven't been filming. So Summer in July, I think this is a great story about friendship. It does deal with like first crushes and things like that. Like I said, discovering your sexuality and things like that. Yeah, I really like this book. I don't think it was like my favorite middle grade I've read, just because I feel like there are such great middle grade out there. So I liked this. I think it's enjoyable. Like if you want a fun summery middle grade, then it's a good one to pick up. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. It was pretty good. Then I read Lucky Few by Catherine Ormsby. This I want to say is her debut, but like is about a bunch of homeschoolers, and a new kid comes to town, and he comes in having had this near-death experience and basically has a list of ways to fake his own death. It literally says on the back, 23 ways to fake my death without dying, which is essentially the plot of the book. So he enlists the help of these 2 girls, our other main characters, to help him with this quest, and they have to like finish it before he like starts school or summer or something like that. It's very strange. It's definitely, I would say, deals with kind of themes of grief and things like that, and it is kind of a coping mechanism for him to do all these things without dying because he came so close to dying. This was definitely a fun one and a interesting new concept. I think Catherine Ormsby does a really great job in just coming up with unique and different concepts that are able to be grounded in a sense of reality, and they don't feel as outrageous as they may sound. Catherine Ormsby is able to create such a new and maybe strange concept and make it really relatable, and I think I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I really like this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I think if you like Catherine Ormsby, if it sounds interesting to you, pick it up. It's a good time. Then I read Roomies by Christina Lauren. I'm sorry I don't have this book. This is one of the few Christina Lauren rom-coms that I haven't read. I was really excited to read this. For some reason, it like really reminds me of the book I'm currently writing, My Work in Progress, which I haven't talked a lot about. Not like at all like it, but it gave me similar vibes and feels. This is about a girl who doesn't really have a place in her life. I feel like that's every main character. She's just like doing a bunch of things that she's like not caring about. She's a writer, but she's not working to pursue anything or writing at all in general. She just like always gets enjoyment out of seeing this one street performer guy playing his guitar, really into it. She gets him to audition for her uncle's Broadway show. He's like, all right, great, like I would love to do it. However, I am here illegally. I don't have a green card, like sorry, see you later. So our main character is like, well, you know, I'm not doing anything, he's not doing anything, and he's hot, so like let me just marry him. And so they get married. So obviously we have the forced proximity, the fake dating. They're literally forced to get to know each other to make their relationship seem real, and obviously they started catching some feelings. It's a romance. So I keep having to stop and start the video because my camera's dying. I really liked this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite Christina Laurens. I just really like what they put out. I really had a good time. I thought the chemistry was there. I thought the relationship was cute. The only thing is there was like a little bit annoying conflict at the end-ish. You know, that like last conflict before we finished the book. Other than that, the last book I read was A Heart in the Body of the World by Deb Coletti. This book like ripped my heart out, put it back. I don't even know. This is a story about grief and guilt. It's a story about harassment. It's about gun violence. This is a book that you'll see in my reading vlog. I actually had to put down a couple times. It is a very difficult read. It is so hard to read about, especially because we have a main character who, for the most part of the book, we actually don't know what has happened to her. We only see kind of the after effects, and then we do have flashbacks that are slowly building to the reveal of this great trauma that she has recently experienced. And it is a harrowing read. It is probably one of the best books that I've read this year, if not, you know, longer than that. It was really incredibly done. I think that it's such a real and deep story that really can resonate, I think, with so many people. It was just absolutely beautiful. It's very hard for me to put into words, especially knowing my camera's dying. I think that this is an incredible book. And, you know, I would really recommend that you try it out. Obviously, if those things are difficult for you to read about, you know, tread with caution, but as I always say. But for me reading this as someone who it was really difficult for me to read, being that I got through it just made it, I just made it so much better almost. It's fantastic. I can't even like express how much I love this book, how important this book is to me. Obviously, it was 5 out of 5 stars. If it wasn't, like, why would I be talking for so long? Those are all of the books. I'm so sorry this was such a hot mess. I really tried for it not to be, but this is the second time I'm filming it, so of course it was a mess. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you want to read them because of my recommendation. I would love to see my power in the real world, or just what you read in July, what you read in August, what you read 2 years ago. I don't really care. With that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!